Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Living Healthy List, our Friday in May 6th, 2022, of a healthy living Q&A. And today we have Andrea Haley-Sankaran to talk about, and we'll have time to share and chat, called Deliciousize your diet. I love that verb. How to create resilience with your nutrition. And just a little bit about Living Healthy List. I'll introduce myself as well. I'm Lisa Medley. I'm filling in for Denise Stegall, who is the curator and CEO extraordinaire of Living Healthy List. And Living Healthy List is made up of multiple experts across multiple modalities and specialties and expertise to simply help people live healthy in lots and lots of different ways. And the website livinghealthylist.com is a tremendous resource of blog articles. There's a monthly magazine, online magazine. There's videos, there's, again, lots of experts across lots of fields available. So I encourage you to look at that. And we are also moving into offering some special conversations, really connecting with community, offering you, bite-sized, no pun intended, pieces of information and expertise, and then also have time just to connect with each other so we can, live healthy. And the other piece about the origin of this is that it can be really complicated sometimes. We hear this, we hear that, we don't eat this, eat that, do this, don't do that. It can be really confusing just to sort through lots and lots of different information. So that's part of why Living Healthy List was born, is to just bring in experts in different fields. We definitely cross paths in many ways, and then we're also have specialty in different ways too. But just to help simplify and kind of funnel that confusion into more clarity and more focus and just hands-on, accessible, simple ways just to get some of your questions answered, your confusion calmed, and just have a go-to place that you can count on. So for today, again, we are here with Andrea, Deliciousize your diet. That's like one of my new favorite words now. How can we deliciousize our life as well? So today we're going to talk about food, and let me introduce Andrea. She is a nutrition and digestive health coach, AKA the Joyful Chef. I can attest to her joy with food, absolutely. She's a teacher, a community leader, a creator of courses, protocols, and tools that empower women to take control of their eating and their health. Hundreds of women now eat well, live well, and feel well as a result of her strategies, passion, and compassion to advance their successes. She's affectionately known by her students as the food guru, and she is on a mission to empower women to take control of their eating, their health, and discover a life of balance, ease, and flow. She is a creator and founder of Good Gut Ayurveda and Lotus Flow Living, and a vegetarian chef of 25 years. She knows a thing or two about healthy eating. Since learning to cook in her early 20s as a way to manage stress and anxiety, to overcoming a life-threatening illness through healthy living and faith over fear attitude, Andrea's passion and leadership has attracted a community around her of women who are finding the courage within to strive for the profound well-being and fully expressed lives they seek. A compassionate and gentle soul, Andrea is known by women twice her age as the nurturer who never makes them feel shamed or blamed. Rather, she cheers them on to greater self-discovery and inner peace. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So that was an incredible introduction, and I guess I have the floor now for a few minutes. I would like to teach you something, and of course, after I do that, there's going to be time for your questions. So if you're curious about something that Lisa said, feel free to ask in the questions. But right now I want to give you guys some great value. And I really appreciate this topic, this idea of both deliciousizing your diet and creating resilience. And it was the resilience that really interested me. And to me, resilience in your diet is kind of the ability to keep up your daily cooking. Because I find that's the biggest challenge that my students and my community faces is with cooking on a daily basis for themselves, healthy food. And the first thing that usually comes up with that is not knowing what to cook, right? Not knowing what to cook is kind of the number one problem. Don't know what to cook that's going to be good for me. I don't know what to cook that's going to make me feel good, right? And not feel bad. And there's so much confusion out there on the internet, which is why I absolutely love my modality of Ayurveda, because Ayurveda is a traditional system. It comes from India. It's around 4,000 to 5,000 years old. And it's got thousands of years of time-tested kind of proof. And I call it proof deliberately because Ayurveda is an ancient science. And so it is very scientific, except its foundation is completely different from modern science. So the foundation of Ayurveda is the recognition that everything is energy. And therefore, your food is energy. And the way you cook your food is impacting the energy and the way you eat your food. And where the food was grown matters. And what's even more amazing than that is that the other kind of major premise in Ayurveda is that the universe is intelligent and ordered. So we live within a divine arrangement, which is beautifully ordered and intelligent and perfect. And of course, that includes us as individuals. And so the idea is that if we can find our alignment with nature, and that means finding alignment within our own nature, then we will naturally, easily experience and kind of unlock perfect health and longevity. So that is the promise of Ayurveda. And so back to resilience, I want to make 2 points. This first one comes back to knowing what to cook. So cooking is important because cooking is the source of our nourishment. It's what heals our tissues, creates our physical bodies, but more than that, affects our mind, our emotions, and our spirit, our consciousness, right? Everything is impacted by our food. So when we eat, so knowing what to cook. So I have 2 recipes, 2 recipe ideas I'm going to share. I don't know if any of you ladies have heard about the classic Ayurveda dish known as khichdi. Khichdi. Some have, some haven't. So khichdi is basically a one-pot dish made from, classically, it's made from Basmati rice and mung dal, which is a teeny tiny little bean or lentil, either one you can call it. But the tinier it is, the easier it is to digest. Basmati rice is exceptionally easy to digest. And then you cook those 2 things together in one pot with some fat. And in Ayurveda, we love ghee. And ghee is a form of clarified butter, which is considered to be the healthiest fat for gut health in the world, maybe the healthiest fat in the world. It is, in my opinion. And so ghee, and it tastes like butter, a little bit like it's buttery, which is really yummy. And then you sizzle some spices into the ghee. Or you can skip that sizzling step and just put everything together in one pot. Okay, and it works in a pressure cooker, really quick and easy, just one button. Or you can do it in a saucepan and simmer it until your rice and your lentils are very soft. And so just imagine rice, lentils, ghee, and a little bit of spice, right? And I'm not talking about chilies. I'm not talking about hot spices. I'm talking about flavorful spices. Now, this one dish lends itself to incredible variation. You can use different types of grains like quinoa. You can use different types of lentils. You can use different types of spices, and you can even use herbs. And then you've got your ghee, but you can substitute with coconut oil or olive oil. And then we get to the vegetables. You can cook vegetables into this dish. You can cook vegetables separately and have it as a topping with this dish. And then you can have different condiments like a cilantro chutney or a ginger chutney. So this one dish is actually able to sustain you for a very long time. And it's pretty common among my students when they learn how to make this, that they kind of exclaim, "Where have you been my whole life? Like, I'll just eat khichdi from now on." It's another student said, "It tastes like comfort food, and I just want to eat it all the time." Another student, "My body is craving khichdi." So this one dish gives you tremendous variation. And the more dishes like that you can have in your back pocket, the more resilience you're going to have. Because remember, I said one button. You can make this one push of a button if you have an Instant Pot, put the ingredients in, done. Okay, so the second point gets us even more into the Deliciousize department, and that is the importance of cooking with herbs and spices. So why herbs and spices? The reason is because they're simply loaded with medicinal qualities that we all need to maintain our health. So I'm talking about things like anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, detoxifying, digestive support. They can be blood tonics, bone tonics, antifungals, and so on. Herbs and spices are literally loaded, and more so in comparison to fruits and vegetables and other foods. Like, they're just packed, like phytonutrients, the whole thing. We don't realize what a tremendous storehouse of nutrition, minerals, trace minerals, everything that we get if we're regularly using herbs and spices. Now, from an Ayurvedic perspective, which really focuses on the importance of good, clean digestion, because that's where your nutrition, where your energy, where your health comes from, the herbs and spices are actually seen as essential, right? So we can actually diagnose somebody as deficient in herbs and spices, for example. And that would mean that their metabolism or digestive system is lacking in the support that it needs to carry out the tremendously complicated and detailed work of digestion. So the herbs and spices assist with digestion. And I really want to, make this point because I remember when I was growing up, interestingly, my father has a bit of an ulcer. And so he was always very sensitive to herbs and spices. My mom couldn't even cook with fresh garlic, for example. She could use a little bit of garlic powder. So salt, pepper, a little bit of garlic powder. We rarely had any spices in our meals. But I remember that some of my favorite dishes, like when I reflect back from the foods that I did like to eat, my favorite ones, they all had herbs and spices. So if we had an Italian sausage, for example, or my mom's cheese ball, which she made with the garlic powder and the onion powder and the paprika, the Mexican chilies, I intuitively knew that those foods that had the spices were more desirable to me. And today, I feel like I could not live without herbs and spices. In fact, when I go to visit my parents, I've experienced that deficiency, very much so. And how do I experience it? To me, it feels like when I'm eating food that doesn't have that digestive support, it feels heavier in my stomach, more like a dull kind of weight in the stomach. You eat the food and it just sits there. And when I'm in a restaurant, this is very obvious too, right? I'll eat something and I'll just know that it's heavy and it's dull. And so I'll ask for some hot sauce or something, something. Do you have anything that I can add so that I can get my digestive system working? So it really does. And I say this because if you're not used to cooking with herbs and spices, you're not probably tuned in to that difference, that experience. So that's the skill. And the other important thing about herbs and spices is that they contain tastes that we don't get easily from other foods. And this is important for digestion too. So let me talk just for a minute about sweet taste. So when I say something is sweet, you probably think about ice cream, cookies, something like that. But does it surprise you at all to know that almost everything that we eat in our diet is sweet, right? All the grains are sweet. Most all the dairy is sweet. Meat is considered sweet from an Ayurvedic perspective, all of it. Most of the vegetables are sweet. Fruits, of course, are sweet. Nuts and seeds are all sweet. So almost everything we eat is sweet. And of course, as the march of time has gone on, we've actually bred foods to be even sweeter. So think about the difference between a wild berry that you pick and a berry that you get at the supermarket. So we've actually kind of honed our taste for sweet, and we're eating too much sweet, which is why you see this huge problem with chronic disease in our society today. Because an excess of sweet taste lowers the immunity in our system. And then that leads to diseases of excess, such as obesity and diabetes and metabolic syndrome and certain cancers, overgrowth, right? And so from an Ayurvedic perspective, we can say that the problem is all these chronic diseases, the main problem is too much sweet taste. And it is hard to get away from in our diet. And so the answer is to actually balance the sweet taste. And so in Ayurveda, we talk about 6 different tastes, and they are sweet, sour, salty, bitter, pungent, and astringent. Astringent, lettuce, the dry, rough taste in the back of your tongue. Lettuce. So as a culture, we're pretty good at sweet, sour, and salty, right? We got that, check, check, check. And those are all the building tastes. Not just sweet, but sour and salty are also building, nourishing, overgrowth kind of tastes. But we're not so good with the other tastes, the bitter, pungent, and astringent. So that brings me back to the herbs and spices, because the overwhelming majority of them contain bitter, pungent, and astringent tastes. And so it's really easy to balance your diet and your health, even heal yourself, by learning to include the herbs and spices into your diet. And once you've got the hang of cooking in this way, you can take these base recipes, such as khichdi that I talked about, and using the herbs and spices in different ways, creating all this variety, which is delicious and exciting and joyful. And, you're set, it's the skill or the practice that pays dividends for the rest of your life. It's kind of like you'll never go back. And, it's a process, but my students are just whipping up stuff now and just loving it. And the joy just seems to grow. So that is my teaching. And I would love to, take any questions that you have, and how can I help you to deliciousize your diet? And hello to newcomer, Stephanie. Wendy.
Yes.
Hello. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm sorry I'm late. I forgot.
I'm late too.
That's okay. So welcome. Andrea just completed her teaching about deliciousizing your diet. We left off at different tastes and just opening it to questions. So who has a question about how to begin? I know for myself is like, how do I begin? Okay, herbs and spices, like you explained that, like the balancing the flavors, like
Mhm.
how would I start?
Probably by learning how to make khichdi is one way. Yeah. So I have a recipe on my website. I have a food blog called butteredveg.com. And there's a recipe for khichdi there. And trying it, right? You would start by trying that recipe once. And in the recipe, there's a few simple spices. So the most important spices to use that are also more commonly known are the turmeric and cumin and coriander. Those are the three. You can start with those three. And aside from khichdi, we can talk about something even easier, which is how to make your vegetables taste amazing. So I have a recipe on Buttered Veg also for a cauliflower cooked with simply a bit of turmeric and a little bit of red chili. And so you would take your ghee, or if you don't have ghee, olive oil or coconut oil, and then sizzle your spices, like say a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric and a pinch of red chili. That's all you need. Or you could use a pinch of black pepper. So black pepper is also a great spice. So sizzle that for 20 to 30 seconds until the aroma is released. And when you're sizzling the spice, you're also releasing its medicinal qualities. And in terms of turmeric, it's essential to release the turmeric in fat or to cook it in liquid for, say, at least 10 minutes. Because if you don't do that, it's going to taste terrible. I just did it the other day. I put turmeric powder into my dal and I didn't cook it long enough and it tasted horrible. Turmeric. So if all of you were going, ew, turmeric, I don't like turmeric, maybe it's because you ate it without cooking it first, because it's not meant to be had raw. So sizzling for 20 to 30 seconds, releasing the aroma, and doing this on a medium to low heat because spices burn easily. And being ready with your next step, which is your chopped vegetables or maybe some onion. So you can combine vegetables. And then as soon as you put your vegetables into your saute pan where you've had your ghee and your spices and they're smelling yummy and you have your low to medium heat, you add your vegetables in. You can add a tablespoon to 2 of water, a little bit of water along with it. Stir it up nicely and then cover it and just cook until your vegetable is done, right? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, depending on what you're cooking. And now you've got the beautifully spiced and flavored vegetable side. So you can try this with carrots and a little cabbage, or with the cauliflower and onion, or you can do this with broccoli, you can do this with kale, you can do this with anything. So it's first releasing the spices and the fat, then adding your vegetable, a little bit of water, cooking it until it's soft. So cooked food is valued in Ayurveda over raw food because it's much easier to digest. And then you've got the spices which assist in the digestion of your vegetables. Tastes yummy, have that with some basmati rice or another grain, or have it along with whatever else you're eating. But that simple way of flavoring vegetables. So I mentioned a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric and a pinch of red chili. That is a game changer. It is so good, right? Or you could just do coriander, or you could just do a little bit of cumin. And by choosing your spice and flavoring it on your vegetables, you can get yourself more familiar with the taste of the spices too, more used to experiencing those flavors. So what do you think about that? Think you could try flavoring a vegetable like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yes, definitely. I've actually done those recipes, but I don't think I probably sauteed them like in the ghee.
Mhm.
And there's two ghees. There's the ones you can find in the grocery stores, like cultured butter, and there's the one that you can find at the Indian stores. It's actually from like buffalo or something, right?
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I can
Yeah.
speak to that ghee situation. So ghee, yeah. Indians tend to use the buffalo ghee because the buffalo has a lot more fat than cow. And so it creates more ghee because ghee is made from the butter. But Ayurvedically, the cow's ghee is valued, and I think it tastes better. So fortunately, in the United States, we have a lot of great brands for ghee that are available to us. But we do have to be careful. And I want to throw out this warning. I have a lot of opinions about ghee. And there are a number of brands out there that don't taste as good. And so I want to say that because if some of you have tried ghee and didn't like it, and I'll actually go as far as saying some of those brands kind of taste like petroleum jelly or something like that. I don't know if anyone has experienced that or had a negative experience with their ghee. Stephanie, have you?
No, I like the buffalo better. I did.
You prefer the buffalo.
I
Okay.
do prefer the buffalo. It's more flavorful and I don't know, maybe it's more like regular butter. I don't know. It just has
Yeah.
this
Good.
large taste to it.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
just have to go and get it because it's not at my regular store. I got to go to an Indian store to get it or order it
Yes.
online, which I try not to do.
Right.
I
Right.
get guilty of that.
That's okay. Well, yeah, just make a list. So at the Indian store, you can also get the ingredients for khichdi, right? You can get moong dal, Moong
I have
dal.
that.
Yeah. And then for basmati rice. So basmati rice has a lot of variation in quality as well. And the Indian store is a great place to get basmati rice. You can get 10 pounds of it for, $13, $12, $14. If you try to buy that online, they're going to gouge you. A lot of Indian ingredients are very expensive online. But when you're shopping for basmati rice too, you want to look for an aged basmati rice,
Okay.
ideally grown in India. And the aged rice has, because the process of aging actually brings out flavor in food. That's why a sun-dried tomato is so much more flavorful than a regular tomato. That's kind of drying. It's a little different from aging, but aged cheeses, right, have so much more flavor than fresh cheeses. So the aged rice is even more flavorful and it's lower on the glycemic index. So the reason basmati rice is so beneficial and encouraged is because it's very easy to digest, but it's also relatively low on the glycemic index. It doesn't have the starch. So that's why when you cook the rice, the grains stay separate, right? You don't end up with a sticky pile of rice. And particularly if you have that good quality basmati rice, which would be an aged, and you probably won't find the aged basmati rice in even the Whole Foods or a regular store, because I think the rice that they sell, just on the regular grocery market shelves is not that great. Yeah, so that's a good tip for you guys if you enjoy that. And a lot of people do get into the basmati rice and experience that as a wonderful comfort food. Over half the world eats rice. I didn't grow up eating rice, right? I was eating more potato and gosh, what was I eating? Pasta, potato, mostly potato, probably, and rice once in a while, right? Maybe rice once every week or two. Now I eat rice almost every day. And if you think about these cultures that eat rice, they're not fat. So a lot of us go, oh, rice, it's sweet. I don't want rice. But it's actually just really easy to digest and a wonderful base for other foods. As long as we get the balance of the taste right and we don't overdo the sweet. Yes, rice is sweet, but when you have a nice balance of the other tastes along with it, it's not going to have a negative impact in your body. Diane.
I have a quick question because you are mentioning and focusing on the basmati rice, which is great. And thank you for those tips as far as that it's lower on the glycemic index, easy to digest, aged, and try to find the stuff grown in India. And you also mentioned less starch. So that being said, which basmati rice is great, but thinking on it, probably the kinds that I've had weren't the best. And I believe right now, like Whole Foods is not what it's cracked up to be. Like I would rather go to the farmer's market and organic and all of that. A lot of that that stuff isn't what it's made out to be. But so just wondering, rice, because there is black rice, red rice, white rice, long grain and wild rice, short grain rice, brown rice. What's your the Ayurvedic take on that? Do we focus primarily on the basmati rice, or does any of the others have a value or something to stay away from? Because I think the glycemic index is important too, because like you said, everything's over, we're getting enough of that, and everything else. So anytime we can keep that low, it's beneficial.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a great question. So white basmati rice is recommended as the main rice that you consume, like regularly. And then the brown rice, the red rice, the black rice, all those different varieties, jasmine, etc. I would consume those occasionally. That's a general rule. And they are a lot harder to digest. They have more fiber. They're more complex. And the reason the white rice is recommended, because digestibility is everything. Most of us are struggling with our digestion in different ways. Few of us are reaching the gold standard, bowel movement experience. And so getting the digestion working, getting the digestion fixed, easing digestion, in fact, easing off, because it's such a major job that the body has to do every day. It's like a major resource, uses major resources. So whenever we can eat or consume food that's easy to digest, we're taking the load off and giving our body resources that it can use for restoration and repair. And of course, when we're having difficulty digesting, it's taking away those resources. So that's why the white rice is recommended. Now, the other rices have value and they have minerals and nutrition, different types of nutrition. Diversity is definitely encouraged. So definitely include those. And one more point is, in Ayurveda, something we speak about are the doshas. You might have heard about this concept of body type, and people who have different body types will do better with the brown, red, right? Like the more difficult to digest rice. When it's more difficult to digest, another way we're saying that is that it takes longer for the body to break it down and process. And so that's actually a beneficial quality for somebody who has a very strong, aggressive digestive system, which is a lot of people. Some people, the people are prone to loose stools and diarrhea, people who feel hungry like a wolf, people who can eat anything and it doesn't seem to affect them, right? That type of person can benefit from more of the brown, red, black, which are harder to digest and take longer, because it gives that ferocious digestive system something to work on. Keeps it busy for a little while longer, because that experience is actually the digestive juices that are too abundant. There's too much juice, too much enzymes, too much acid, too much bile. And so tamping it down with heavier, more difficult foods is actually the answer for that kind of person.
Gotcha. And one more quick thing, turmeric. So when you're referring to that, are you mostly referring to the powder or the turmeric root, or both, either or? You know, you're getting the root, slicing it and
Yeah.
sauteing that, or just using powder?
Yeah, wonderful. I definitely recommend and encourage the use of the powder for the vast majority of your cooking. And studies have actually shown that just using the turmeric regularly in your food, like a 1/4 teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon of consumption a day like that, is tremendously beneficial for health. And that's a principle in Ayurveda, that less is more. It almost gets homeopathic, right? With the value on food and the caution against excess and overdoing things. So turmeric supplements and the extraction of the curcumin from the turmeric and taking those when we may have the weak digestion, which means a weak liver, because the liver is burdened with processing all that results out of our digestive tract before it moves into the blood. So when the liver and the digestion are weak and we're taking supplements like that, it can actually do some damage, because the liver can't handle it, and it's seen as an overload or a stressor. And so if that, describes you at all, you might just get a lot more benefit from reducing the supplement and actually having it in your food, like a turmeric. And in terms of the root, it's not that you can't have it. It's just that it's so incredibly overpowering. You've probably experienced that. Just a little bit of the root in your cooking, it takes over everything. And the powder, by contrast, I describe it like a canvas. The powder to me is just, it gives actually the bitter taste. So the bitter is one of the most important tastes to include in your cooking. And if you include a bit of turmeric, you're getting that bitter taste in there, but you're getting it in a way that it is not overpowering. It's in the background. So that's why I love turmeric.
Thank you. I could talk about food all day, so I'll take a break.
Andrea, I have a quick question about turmeric.
Yeah.
I always get confused, because I'll put some in my coffee and love it. And, it's not cooked, but now I always get this confused. Is turmeric good or bad in the sense of your blood vessels? Because someone said if you're going into surgery, or if you have, you know what I mean? It's like, is it like, is it a blood thinner is what I'm asking. If you're on blood thinner, do you need to keep away from it? I always get that backwards.
It is a blood thinner. And if you're on blood thinning medications, you should definitely check with your doctor about using or consuming turmeric. I think that a small amount in your cooking, the way we're talking about, is not likely to be damaging, because turmeric has so many other benefits. Like if you look at the medicinal properties of turmeric, this is off the charts. But do check with your doctor. I would, obviously taking the supplement would be a bigger concern for me if you're on blood thinning medications. But yes, that is the caution with turmeric for sure.
And is that the same with kale? Anything that's vitamin K? Because I read also someone said they went into surgery and they said to take turmeric, no, maybe to take kale. One of them to to help clog up the blood. But that's not turmeric. Turmeric's the opposite. So if you're
opposite. It increases circulation. Turmeric does. Yeah.
If you're a bleeder, you do not want to take it. Is what I'm.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
That's what I need to know. Okay. Cool.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Who else has a question? Stephanie.
We bought probably a long time ago, turmeric, you buy a bunch of fresh turmeric and you put it in the freezer because you're not going to go through all this turmeric that you got. How long is it good in the freezer?
You're speaking the fresh turmeric that you bought.
Yeah.
Yeah. would say up to 6 months as a general rule. And guess what? I have a wonderful recipe on buttered veg for a turmeric elixir.
Okay.
Yeah, you can make that with the fresh turmeric.
Okay.
And the fresh turmeric is the biggest ingredient. So you slice it up and then you have some ginger in there.
Mhm.
And also put some peppercorns, coriander seeds, and fennel seeds. So, and then once it's simmered, you simmer to reduce it to half. So you have a fairly concentrated liquid. And then you finish it with fresh lemon juice and honey, like powerhouse of an elixir. And then you can have it as a shot, or you can mix it with water and actually make a beautiful summer cocktail. And it's got that orange, that beautiful orange color from the turmeric. That's a great way to use fresh turmeric. And I love it. Every time I have that, I can feel, because turmeric is also highly anti-inflammatory, I can feel the anti-inflammatory effect. It just feels soothing just to drink that. And you can save yourself so much money, because if you bought a turmeric shot, actually somebody commented on the website that they paid $8 at their gym for a turmeric shot. And then they made this and they were so grateful. It is wonderful. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I love giving it to guests. It's just a beautiful little gift to share around with people that you know and you meet.
So you can make a lot of it and just have it for a little.
Yeah, you can make. So what I do is I get the turmeric root in a large package from I have an Asian store. So if you ladies have any Asian stores near you that you haven't checked out yet, they are incredible for the selection of produce, especially among other things. So anyways, I bring the turmeric and I'll actually prep up my turmeric elixir. As much of the turmeric I have, I'll do a batch and then I'll put it in a baggie in the freezer with everything I need to make the next batch.
Oh, and
And it's totally cool. Yeah. So your batch will last you about 3 weeks and it makes about a quart. It makes about a quart.
Okay.
Like, I don't know, there's maybe 4 to 6 cups. Let's say it like that, 4 to 6 cups. So yeah, use it up within 3 weeks, a little bit longer. And then just make another one. It's really easy to make when you just throw that in and simmer it and drain it off. And then you got it.
What is your website again? Is that on there?
Yeah. So butteredveg.com is my food blog. That's where you'll find a lot of fantastic recipes. And, everything that I was talking about today with the 6 tastes and combining the flavors, those recipes all have that built in. So if you want to experience that and, notice the difference, because, okay, here's something I didn't tell you about these 6 tastes and getting the balance. So there's actually something magical that happens when you get your flavors balanced. I call it the experience of bliss. So just think about when you eat food and it tastes too sweet or too salty or too sour or too something, right? How do you feel? You feel dissatisfied, right? And that dissatisfaction causes the mind to start thinking, well, what else could I have, right? It creates cravings, actually, and the opposite of satisfaction. So when you get those 6 flavors balanced, you get an experience that is like a circle. I call it, and you're just satisfied, you're happy, and it can even feel blissful. And that's the promise of actually cooking like this and learning about how to use the 6 tastes in your cooking. Because you speak about delicious. I should have told you guys this one earlier. Yeah, so, I actually learned this by sitting down with the food that I made and then just running through. Can I taste the sweet? Can I taste the sour? Can I taste the salty? Can I taste the bitter? Can I taste the astringent? And can I taste the pungent? And if something was missing, I would go back to the kitchen and get a little bit of something. Like you can get a condiment, for example, or a little piece of ginger, or a little bit of extra salt, or a squeeze of fresh lemon, right? Fresh lemon and lime on your cooking is game changing for a lot of my students. And you can literally experience the flavor and how you respond to the food go from like, nah, it's okay, to this, it's amazing. It's like night and day difference sometimes just by adding one little thing. You know, so on that note, pay attention to your bitters because it's often the taste that's missing. And bitter is, bitter is a flavor enhancer. You know, no surprise in that. When you add a little bit of bitter to your dish, to your food, it brings out the flavors of everything else. It's incredible. It actually, I went to a 2-day conference on MSG, right? Controversial MSG. But what I learned about how MSG works is that MSG has the ability to bring together disparate or unconnected tastes in a dish and create a balance. That's what MSG does. And you know how MSG is known for elevating taste or elevating flavor. So it like brings everything together and elevates it. So when things come together, they elevate. And so that's how the balance elevates your taste. And I actually think it elevates your life also. And there's a lot of joy too when you're cooking with those spices, because now you have colors and you have scents and you have different textures and you have different things going on. And you're experiencing different things and it's new and it's experimental. Yeah, I have a student who, you know, we're doing actually an Ayurveda cleanse right now, a 2-week cleanse, and we're on day 11. And one of my students has never cooked for 10 days in a row in her life. And she's been doing that. And she's so inspired and just experiencing what she's experiencing that she thinks she's never going to stop now. And she said, it's the food, it's the taste. You know, I went and bought garam masala and now I'm going to experiment with that. So it can breathe new life into your cooking and just make your experience more joyful. And that's life-changing because the only way we're going to get to optimal health, in my opinion, is by cooking for ourselves. And so whatever we can do to enhance that experience, to allow ourselves to enjoy it, is really life-changing, I think. It has been for me. Yeah. Diane, go ahead.
All right, so 2 things. I don't know how long this is supposed to go, if it's supposed to just be an hour, but one is, yeah, I'm noticing lately, well, I've always cooked, but I love food and I can eat purple cabbage just raw. Like I just love veggies and like all that stuff. So that's not a tough thing for me to do, but I'm noticing more and more lately with the restaurants, which I used to enjoy going to, but the food is just so loaded with sodium and they use all the cheap oils that are so unhealthy that I'm just, it's not even working anymore because I know the reality of what they're really serving and what I'm consuming, even if it's a really nice place. Not their fault. They're trying to make money and you know, the experience is lovely, but that's just one thing on restaurant food. Way better to cook at home. You have a lot more control about what you're putting in your body. The other thing is, where's Ayurveda on the gluten spectrum? So not for me. My daughter is celiac. She's got all kinds of issues and things, and she tries so hard, and she's been tapping into more nutrition things. So I had mentioned this to her today, and she wasn't able to join, but she wanted me to ask you something. Do you do like consultations? I mean, are you like a one-on-one? Is it a program? Is it other how does this work with you? She's interested very much right now in the Ayurvedic. And I'm just curious, as an ad, the gluten factor, is that something that you guys focus on or not focus on, or, you know?
What do you mean by the gluten factor, like eating gluten-free or determining whether it's an intolerance or an allergy?
Do you use bread like with a lot of Ayurvedic stuff? Because she's got,
Right.
she's like in a bad way with that stuff.
Yeah,
And the gluten-free stuff is not all it's cracked up to be either, because it's loaded with other additives and sugar and
correct.
crap. So that's,
Mhm.
you know, she knows
Need
that.
to cook gluten-free also. Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
my son-in-law is great. He's cooks a lot and he's willing to do anything for her. And it's wonderful. I mean, she's just really lucky with that. He's
Yeah.
awesome. But in general, it's Ayurvedic.
Mhm.
I mean, most repertoires incorporate some kind of gluten. She's in a specific category because she wants to eat healthy. Plus she needs to tend to this condition, but, and also about what you offer.
Yep. So yeah, so I do, okay, so I do one-on-one health coaching. I have packages on my website. And I also do a 6-week program called Happy Eater, how to eat healthier without feeling deprived. And it's really foundational in terms of understanding the Ayurvedic approach to eating. And it's not just the approach to eating, but we also go through routine. So breakfast, lunch, and supper, kind of how to fit the meals into your day. So it's packed. And within that, we do 2 virtual cooking classes as well. So another thing I do are cooking classes, and we cook virtually, and it's just incredible experience. And I do hope and intend this summer to be offering some cooking classes, like either one-offs or small packages. And in terms of gluten, I always offer gluten-free options in the recipes that I share. And I personally, Ayurveda, yeah, we don't have gluten as a big element. Like it is very rice-based actually. And the gluten would just come in like a naan or a roti, but that's always optional, right? If you want to add that to your meal, it's not really part of the core of what I teach, but I can give some, knowledge about, how to consume gluten if you want to, and how to do it more effectively, how to do it in a way that you can digest it, if you're sensitive or etc. So I do that like with any food. I can tell you if, based on your body type, how you can cook with that food in a way that you can enjoy it or digest it better, and sometimes it comes down to when you have it and how you have it and the portion and what you combine it with and the spices you add to provide the digestive support. So there's a lot of details that I could go into.
Thank you. Just wondering.
Yeah, you bet. No, I would love to. And I do offer a discovery call. So if your daughter is interested, we can have a conversation. Yeah, learn more.
That would probably be a great place to start. All right. Thank you for that, Andrea.
Yeah. Also with the people, I don't recognize a lot of these people. If they've never taken Andrea's course, I've taken the Happy Eater, just finished the deep cleanse, spring cleanse, which I'm so glad I did, because it's totally changed the way I eat. And now when I go to a restaurant, I call ahead to make sure kind of what I'm eating. But that's the one that just pushed me over the hill, because you're having to eat for a week or so a certain way, and you start building that habit. And the khichdi, yeah, I did it with the rice. I prefer it with the quinoa. But I make my own vegetable broth and add it to it to give it more nutrients. But yeah, it's so worth it, because she kind of walks you through everything and helps you with your dosha if you all have any individual problems. She's really good. And I've been with her, almost over a year, Andrea?
Yeah,
I've been with her over a year. So I've enjoyed it.
Thanks, Wendy. Yeah, I love breaking things down. So a lot of people find Ayurveda very challenging or difficult to get into. And I really pride myself on breaking it down and making it practical and explaining and going through the details. You probably noticed that today. Like I talk kind of long because I really kind of geek out on those details because I feel like what's the point otherwise, right? I want you to have the skills and the knowledge you need to be able to actually implement on what I'm saying, because that's the only place that lives change. So.
Fabulous. Fabulous. I know we could go on and on. I want to respect our time. I want to just make an announcement. And if Andrea, if you're open to staying on a few more minutes and we have a few more questions, we can certainly do that. But let me just get this announcement in. So first, thank you. And as I share with my clients and students, acknowledge yourself for showing up, you know, acknowledge yourself for carving out this time to nourish yourself in many ways. And thank you, Andrea, so much for your passion and your geekness. I share geekness in the somatic world, and I recognize that.
Kindred spirits there, yeah.
For sure, for sure. So just a quick announcement. So Living Healthy List, as I mentioned earlier, offers lots of different kinds of resources and ways to get connected with topics like these. And we have one that's coming up this Tuesday, May 10th at 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. And it's our monthly meaningful conversations. And those are usually a panel of experts focusing on a topic. And, you know, kind of like this, but more than one expert. So this, again, Tuesday, May 10th, 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. We have Andrea will also be there, and two other experts from the Living Healthy List, Dr. Karen Wolf and Lissa Figgins. And it's going to just continue this theme about deliciousizing your diet. We've gained a lot of tips on how to do that. So there's just more conversations to come on this topic. So again, thank you so much for coming. And again, Andrea, if you want to, if you're able to stick around, if there's a few more questions, we can do that. And there's many ways to reach Andrea for a conversation and her wonderful blog.
Yeah, thanks. Happy to. Yeah, obviously I'm on the Living Healthy List. So that's our platform. So all of my websites and things can be found out from that place as well. Yeah, I'm happy to stay if anyone does have questions. Yes.
Go ahead, Diane, you can go first.
Are you sure? I don't mind waiting. I've had my time. This is very specific question regarding your cleanse. There's so many cleanses out there now, so many, you know,
yes,
I can't even wrap my head around it. So I'm just wondering what, if you have different ones, if they're targeted for different results, if it's one basic one, like what is the focus of the one that you offer and have?
Yeah, it's a digestive liver lymph reset is the cleanse. It's 2 weeks long. There's 3 phases involved. And we very carefully draw out toxins from the bodily channels and eliminate them from the body. And as we're doing that, we're healing the digestive tract by giving it a rest. And then we actually purge it out. In fact, I'm doing my purge tonight. And then we have a period of transition before re-entering into our regular diet. So it's a very carefully orchestrated 2-week cleanse that follows this traditional and ancient Ayurvedic protocol. We use ghee and take that as a supplement for 7 days of the cleanse to oleate, it's called, our channels and protect them from the toxins. So yeah, caution about many of these detox programs and how they deal with or don't deal with the toxins, because Ayurvedically, we would describe them. We describe everything in terms of qualities, and toxins are hot, sharp, and burning. And so we need to be really careful. It's easy to draw toxins out. It is not easy to protect the body as they are eliminated. So that is the cleanse. It can be done in a 1-week period, which I think Lisa's about to give a try. Yeah, encourage her. Yeah, and I offer a program with 4 weeks of cleanse support. Actually, 4 weeks of classes and 3 months of support, actually, in terms of Q&A and access in the spring and in the fall. So we are just finishing up our spring program. I'll be offering it again in the fall. So that is the main cleanse support that I offer right now. But I also have a 1-year journey program that includes monthly cooking classes, monthly master classes. And within that program, I provide additional support for smaller cleanses at seasonally appropriate times. So I'm not doing anything sort of specific for a particular health concern, but many health concerns can be addressed through the types of cleanses that I offer.
All right. Thank you, Andrea. Appreciate that.
You bet. And we eat food. That's the important thing. We eat food on the cleanse. Yeah. Stephanie?
Yes. So my question is, for a while there, I was taking turmeric. I was doing the golden milk in the evening with the turmeric. I was putting it in like just a little bit in everything I was cooking, from oatmeal to other stuff, because you put a little bit in it, you're not going to taste it.
Correct.
I didn't really feel results from it. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Or is it, because, my condition that I'm dealing with is MS, and I have insufficient pancreas. So I don't process my fats. I have to have enzymes. So, I want to do it again, but I'm like, am I doing something wrong? Or am I getting benefits and I just don't aware of it?
Are you releasing the turmeric in the fat?
No.
Yeah, that might be a thing you're doing wrong.
What about in the milk? How's it go for the milk? Do you do like a little bit of fat first and then put the milk in, or like?
That would be a better way.
Okay.
If you just start with a little bit of fat, infuse your turmeric. It only takes 10 seconds, depending on the temperature. Then add your milk. Now, milk has fat, so it is assisting, but the turmeric is fat. It's fat soluble, so it really helps to release it in the fat.
Yeah, I use almond milk or almond milk usually. I can't use I'm mostly a vegan. Anti-inflammatory diet is what I'm on.
Well, I think you'll love the turmeric elixir. Definitely make that. And another just tip for you about pancreatic insufficiency: are you hydrating before your meals?
Yeah,
Like, specifically, because adding hydration before your meals, like a cup of water 15 to 30 minutes before, and you can even have a little bit of ginger in your water, warm water. This has been shown to increase digestion by as much as 24%.
Oh, wow.
Because you're giving, your body needs to produce about 3/4 liter of digestive enzymes to digest a single meal. So imagine that's a lot of liquid. And so having that liquid before the meal and not during, so a little bit during, so as to not dilute things, but that before is really important. And it's a habit that I've really gotten myself into and have noticed a big support from that. And warm helps, and the ginger helps, because you're giving a little bit of heat, a little bit of stimulation to your digestive system that way.
Okay.
Try that.
I will.
Yeah. Also, when it comes to drinking something before you eat, is there's a picture I always go by, and I've learned, because one, if you drink something before you eat, and if you're eating Mexican food or something very salty, the salt's going to pull that water, and you've already put water in your body. So if you don't drink beforehand and you eat something salty, then it's going to pull water from your veins. It's going to stress your body that way. And that's why a lot of people are thirsty after they eat something that's salty. And then they're more thirsty and they drink. And that's how they gain weight. So the more you can drink before you eat. I never drink while I'm eating. My family doesn't understand that. But anyway, so what Andrea is saying is very, very important to drink before. And we have a thing during the cleanse where we sip during all day long. And I've continued that, because I've noticed the difference. If I'm not drinking, it's like I'm thirsty, you know, but if you're sipping all day long, your body's absorbing all that liquid. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, it's a wonderful point about hydration. Sometimes when we're dehydrated, our internal skin becomes like leather, right? It's dried out. And you know what happens when you put water on dry leather? Pretty much nothing. So the idea of sipping warm water helps the water get into your cells and hydrates you more effectively. Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
We could do a whole other talk on hydration.
Very good.
Right?
Yeah.
That's like one of my soapboxes too, of just, passions really, that we're,
Oh yeah, so valuable. Just
so, I mean, we're made of water. I mean, we're made of energy, and
Yeah.
our physical body is, like an ocean, essentially.
Mm. Mhm.
So replenishing is so important. Such great questions. Really, really delicious event today.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you to everybody. You guys have been amazing. And Lisa has been amazing.
Oh, you're welcome. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
Holding
thank
the
you for
space,
having
holding such a beautiful space, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, so this is, wherever you've begun in this journey, and for those of you watching later, start where you are. Know that you can just take this huge topic of, well, being healthy, and then all of the different ways, and then within this Ayurvedic nutrition and digestive health, Andrea is one of our wonderful experts. We have many, again, across the board
true, I'm
in
not the
so
only
many
one.
different areas.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, just to help break things down and just like find that beginning step.
Mhm.
So you can just check out, is butteredveg.com, is that the best website?
Right. That one is mainly for the recipes, more of the recipes, but it's Good Gut Ayurveda if you want to explore that introductory conversation. There's a link called Work With Me, and you'll be able to book a call that way. So goodgutayurveda.com.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
both.